Hello, Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius, this is your weekly reading for the week of December 7th. Let's get it and see what is going on for y'all this week. I know there's been some intense energy the last couple days. I've been getting a lot of your texts and messages. So there's been deep lows and high highs. So, right? Okay, Scorpio. I even had somebody say, "What's up with this Mercury retrograde like energy?" Somebody was asking me, I felt like we just left Mercury retrograde. X is coming back and shit hitting the fan. So here we go, Sag. First thing that comes up, Eight of Cups. So that has to do with things moving fast in love, within emotions, within relationships. You have the Nine of Swords. This is almost feeling like you have no voice or feeling stuck and not really sure how it is you're going to move forward. We have the Justice card in play. So the Eight of Cups, speed. Cups is love and relationships. So interpersonal relationships is going to be moving a little quick. Here is feeling stuck. So this is a ghost. He's like a ghost in his own home, or feeling as if he is like a like unable to get through these barriers. Hi, Ashley. So you have these barriers, this obstacle that's in front of you, and you feel effective, or you're feeling what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost as ineffective. It's just the best, like you can't have any physical change on what's going on around you. You have the Star card. That has to do with like having your head in the clouds a little bit. It also has to do with alignment with the stars and what your fate has to do with your fate. It has to do with like where you belong, what you belong doing. The Star card has to do with fate. But if you notice here, mostly the card has more to do, not exactly like in the Fate or the Wheel of Fortune, but this card has to do with like spiritual alignment. Okay. So more like, what am I supposed to be doing, right thing kind of thing. But the Star card here, if you notice, she's got this she's a water bearer, and as she's carrying this water, like this daily activity. You guys ever have one of those days where you're like driving in the car and you're not paying attention to where you're going, and you're just suddenly at your exit? It's like that autopilot kind of feeling, because she's not paying attention to what she's doing here and losing finer details and whatever, and kind of dumping the water because her head is up here looking for signs, looking for symbols, looking to see like what's the right direction. We also have the Eight of Wands. Both of these are the same in speed. Work and love and money are the same thing, if you can see that. So you have these two cards that are very similar: work and money. Or I'm sorry, work and love. So both of these are going to have these energies where it feels as if both are kind of pacing each other, okay, equally yoked. They're going to feel a little bit like wild. Justice card. Now, the Justice card has a lot to do with legal matters, paperwork, mediation, court. Let's see what's going on with this forward. I do see the Priestess. The High Priestess card has to do with intuition. So your intuition is going to be on point. You have the Tower card, which tells me. So here's the thing about the High Priestess. It has come up in Libra and I think Scorpio as well. But mostly the High Priestess has to do with intuition. It also has to do with secrets being revealed. It also has to do with understanding things that you prior to this period in your life didn't. We have the Tower card. Now, reading the raw material lately, they talked about catalysts in your life and how that's how you learn, right? So the Tower card is coming. Here's the thing about the Tower card. The Tower card is the thing that shakes you up, okay? Think of putting a Mentos in a Coke bottle, woo, right? So this is that card that's like, you have ultimately, the thing about the Tower card to remember, though, is even though it feels like your foundation is shaken, it lets you know what's underneath. It lets you know what's underneath the rubble and behind all the bullshit and the smoke and the mirrors and he said, she said. This right here is, I always say, that's the card that tells you this is where the rubber meets the road kind of thing. Okay. So chaos, chaos is chaos. It happens to all of us. The weather changes, the years change, the seasons change, things happen out of our control. And sometimes they are, but ultimately these things allow us to see. It allows us to expose what's underneath, right? We have the Queen of Wands and the Death card, which has to do with change. We're also seeing, so the Queen of Wands has to do with work, like nurturing kind of work. I'm seeing the Eight of Coins, which tells me you're kind of hopping from foot to foot, trying to stay lively. I'm seeing the Six of Swords, which is things getting easier. This storm will blow over. Interestingly enough, I don't do reverse readings, but this card did come upside down. So this is the Nine of Wands. And if you look at the Nine of Wands, it has to do with a foundation, like you're building a foundation. And so right now it's upside down, and I'm going to leave it because that's rare for me. Queen of Cups, Four of Cups, Knight of Cups. So here's the thing for you, Sagittarius. Your desire is for things to get a little bit easier. Queen of Cups has to do with love. It also has to do with expressing your emotions, your deeper emotions. Like that's having EQ, speaking to what you're feeling. But you also have the Knight of Cups and the Four of Cups. So the Knight of Cups has to do, like, this is all love and lovers, really. One, two, three, four of that energy. We have the Knight of Cups, which is your emotion. So here's the thing about the Knight of Cups. It's like, if you look at the court cards, and I apologize to some of you that hear this stuff all the time, but when you look at your court cards, you have the Knight of Cups. Okay, if you think of Knight, Page, Page, Knight, Queen, King, like the Knight of Cups is somebody that's like inexperienced with their emotions, or almost feeling as if they can't handle this kind of energy, and you're not quite sure if you can navigate it like you're used to. Because Queen of Cups is EQ, and then Knight of Cups is like that balance where you feel like you're not sure you can keep the balance. So ultimately, emotions are going to be riding a little high for you, especially with all this tension that's going on both at work and home. Well, not home, but work and relationships. So your emotions are all over the place, and then your work is demanding a lot from you too. So what I always say, this is where the rubber meets the road for you. You have the Death card, you have the Tower card, you have the Intuition card, the High Priestess, and then you have the Justice card. So, and the Star. So a lot of that is telling me that there are things that are moving, right? And there's, I don't know if I want to say consequence, but there is a little bit of consequence. But we have the Death card, which is change. And so the Death card isn't necessarily bad. It means a new beginning, or maybe something's going away. But like I said, let's focus on the Six of Swords, which means things are going to get easier. Like the storm is going to break, so to speak. And there's like a lot of that relief that comes from that very shortly for you. So you do have a lot of questions about how you can be effective. And mostly that's what do you do in this situation, right? Let's pull some cards for you from Mystic Dreamer, for those of you who are Sagittarius moon. And I will also do a card from Divination of the Ancients. For those of you on my other social media platforms, please come to my YouTube. I would love your support there. You can look up your signs, my playlist. They're all in order. They're posted weekly. You won't have to go through my timeline and find it or catch me on the live. Book your one-on-one, karmaondeck.com. I do have some openings today. This week is a little bit busy though. All right, here we go, Sagittarius moon. Temperance. So interesting that this Temperance card comes up, because I was thinking that you needed balance, but we kept getting the Star card, which is like, what am I doing? But the Temperance card, like self-reflection, is the Star card too. So the Star card is all about like looking in the mirror, as well as taking stock of where you are, where you're supposed to be, and am I in alignment? So it doesn't necessarily mean like looking to astrology for the answers to your fortune. It more so has to do with like alignment. Like, am I in alignment with my values? Am I in alignment with what I say, what I want to do? Am I in alignment with where I'm supposed to be? And is any of this real? So we do have these thoughts that are going on for you, Sagittarius, where you have the Temperance card, which is balance. Ace of Cups is love. Queen of Wands. Now, here's what's interesting about the Queen of Wands. Sometimes the cards most definitely talk about a male or female energy. Male and female energy has to do with softness or being driven. Really, it's just that basic. I mean, I don't like to play with them as if male or female, but there's very aggressive energies and there's very nurturing energies. The Queen of Wands in and of itself is all about image. If you look at this card, male or female, this card has to do with what things look like. So for you, Sagittarius, you're very worried. I wouldn't say worried, but your thoughts go to what things look like, what your status is, how things are perceived, and how they appear. You have the Knight of Swords, again, Knight having to do with like, teenager energy with moods. And this is aggressive mood. This is you going to the other individual going, what are you doing? Rather than just being like, come to me, say something, bring it. This is more like you're very vocal about your opinions on things. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Vincent. So the thing that I'm seeing here is the Eight of Pentacles. This is status quo. This is things going like just the way they have always been. And it's repetition and redundancy. For you, you have the Two of Wands, which is two different paths. So you're juggling two things, trying to decide which direction you want to go. Wheel of Fortune is in play here. So fate is in play. Three of Swords, unable to discuss or converse about things. The Three of Swords means heartbreak. Literal definition typed on every Three of Swords I've seen in any deck, the little booklet that comes with it that describes how to study the cards. The Three of Swords literally means heartbreak if you don't communicate. So if you don't communicate, that's the result. And right now there is miscommunication going on for you. Fate is playing a role. Queen of Pentacles is playing a role that has to do with money. Has to do with your finances as well. Both the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles, you really do want to protect those kinds of things. You have the Death card, King of Wands, and the Four of Wands, which means change. Four of Wands is commitment. So changes in your commitment, changes in things. You have the Lovers card. So the Lovers card, there was a lot of love that's going on for Sag, but it's like pushed down. Okay, we have the Lovers card, which is 2 or 3 things about the Lovers card. I was talking to a client, a longtime client of mine, which blows me away that she said this. She's like, "What? Wait, I thought the Lovers card was a good card." I'm like, "How long have you been my client? And you have yet to hear me say that it is not the best card. It's not a great card." Um, Oftentimes the Lovers card means conflict. It's a power exchange. And if you think of the Lovers card as a tango, what you have is one person come and they come together for a second, then one goes the other way, and they're this individual's watching this one, and they do this little tango, right? And they come together, and it's very intense, right? But this is like a conflict too. Think of 2 people in a dojo. So oftentimes the Lovers card isn't great, and it always talks about a decision, polarity, and 2 sides to a story. And it also always seems to come across when there's like disruptive cards, malefics. So I should say it's the card like the death card. A lot of people take that as a malefic because it's everybody looks at change as bad, right? But the Lovers card is almost always talking about a power struggle or a power exchange, like who's on top and who's right. We have the Hangman here, which has to do with delay and wait. So there's these big pauses that's going on for you, and you're trying to decide what it is that you want to do. Four of Wands has to do with commitment. It also has to do with partnerships of any kind, everything from marriage to business partnerships to a commitment, like who's down for me, right? Who's the one that I know I can count on. So this could be like anything from sports too. But the Four of Wands has to do with commitment. And so there's changes for you in this. Five of Swords has to do with fighting. The Three of Swords is telling us that this miscommunication might be the cause of that. So these are the things that are going on in your brain. Ultimately, Nine of Pentacles is what you're striving for, is like the harvest. You want the good things. You want to pull the good things from your life, etc. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys. Sorry if that was a little chaotic. I was trying to talk over the leaf blower out there. They always manage to be doing something around here. But at least today it wasn't 8 a.m. And y'all know I ain't a morning person. Hi, Krellian. All right, so this is your Sagittarius Divination of the Ancients card. Footprints. Okay, so if you guys remember the story about footprints in the sand, what you have here is direction. And so this card right here has to do with finding your path. This has to do with your direction. This has to do with, like, you know, some of you are like looking for that guidance too, because I'm hearing that story about footprints in the sand where it's like I only see one set of footprints, but yet you were carrying me. But what's true is um, footprints also has to do with direction, like which direction are you taking? And so how do you play with that energy, right? So this card recommends that you find it. Like, don't look at the moving parts, look at the end result. Karma always says, if you look at the moving parts, you get caught in looking at the mechanism and not the intention. So your direction, just look where you want to go. I was telling my partner the other day, we don't need to know how many lines are in the sidewalk, how many blocks to the stop sign. We just need to look at the stop sign and go. So for you, Sagittarius, choose and move. Pick and move. That's like one of my coaching things, is like just pick and go, because sometimes we get into analysis paralysis. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will catch you on the flip side tomorrow. I got to see where we're at with Capricorn and Aquarius, but that's where I'll be next time. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. Please tell me how you feel your reading went. Like, subscribe, and share. Join me on my YouTube. And again, like I always say, come from love and book your one-on-one, karmaondeck.com. And I can't wait for you guys to meet Rory. Podcast coming soon. Newsflash.